Evening, Michael.
G'day, Greg. How are you this evening?
Very, very well, mate. Very well. A bit nervous about this one.
Yeah, it should be a little bit confronting, I think. Exciting.
So who we got on?
So we've got Emma Romano joining us tonight. Going to have a conversation about masculinity, and in particular, we're going to dive into toxic masculinity and the roles of males and how that's impacted in modern society. So we're very excited.
Now, I did do a bit of a title that was a bit controversial. I said the lies about toxic masculinity, because I believe there's a lot of lies out there to do with masculinity and what it is to be a man these days. Just me setting my practice, it's just values all over the place. And so I thought,
perhaps.
Yeah, then I thought, who do I know that deals with it every single day and has done thousands and thousands of these sessions with men and families? And it's a female, which I thought was really good as well too, because you don't have three dudes on here going, hey, you're all misogynist pigs, right? Because you want to have a female perspective of this.
A bit of confirmation bias.
So which I thought, I reached out to Emma and she said, if you pay me $1 million, so she'll do it.
Yeah.
So no, she jumped at the chance to do it. So
didn't say when.
I think I'll be waiting a while.
It will be. But Emma is teaches or does a sort of a protocol called the Family Freedom Protocol, one of many. And the reason why I got Emma is because she's done thousands and thousands of these. She's an international person. She's spoken overseas. She's taught overseas. She's not some, hey, I've got an opinion here. This is a person who's actually at the coalface of actually doing this. So she has a reputation and she's got cred for this, right? So we just haven't grabbed anyone off the street and gone, hey, give us an opinion. You know, she sees this daily. And, no, not just, some people say, I'm an international thing. No, she's done stuff, actual stuff overseas.
Really good.
Stuff.
And hopefully get a little bit uncomfortable.
From a very strong, opinionated female of what I've got to say about this topic today.
Cool.
Bring it.
So just before we start, for people new to this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So hit subscribe down there. Subscribe to our podcast because you'll see stuff like this.
Give us some feedback.
From topics like this into weight loss, we've done subconscious beliefs, into consciousness and reality. And when we get into plant medicine, we will do plant medicine. We will.
There's some interesting things coming.
Right. So Emma, after that long spiel, welcome to Human Potential, the secrets to unlocking or expanding your human potential.
Yeah.
Tell us, well, that was a bit of intro, but tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Emma Romano. I call myself a self-healing coach because I believe everyone has the innate ability to heal. You just got to get rid of the bullshit to be able for the body to be able to flow and your life be in flow. But it can't be in flow if you've got negative emotions, limiting beliefs, all this stuff that's making you sad and hurt and angry. Nothing's going to work. So I was pretty blessed. This will make you laugh. In 2014, I've always been a tennis coach. I've been a tennis coach for 31 years, a receptionist all my life. And in 2014, I was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And it's weird, like, don't feel sorry for me, please, because it's one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. So I've got this amazing, amazing husband, two amazing boys, young men, they're 17 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
They will always be my boys, right? So in 2014, I don't know what were the kids, like 12 and 13 back then, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis after going blind in my left eye, numb down my right side, went down really quickly, and then 3 months of heavy medications. This is before I knew this cool shit, right? So this is before I knew everything. And heavily medicated, got heart problems, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, you name it. Emma Romano had it, right? And I was quite proudly the owner of it too, I might add. But that's another story. And something happened. They said I was going to be in a wheelchair in about 6 months. And I was like, no way in the world. So I had a choice. I was either going to heal myself, and I knew medication wasn't working for me. It can work for others, just wasn't working for me. And it was kind of like a poison running through me. So, and I probably made it into a poison running into me. And I went on this journey. So I had a choice. I was going to self-heal or I was going to check out. And the checkout was on the bottom of the list, thank God. So I went on this massive journey, and I would relieve numbing in my body. I would get muscle back. I would get my eyesight back every time I got rid of some shitty freaking emotion. And it was the craziest bloody thing. And I'm like, hang on, there's something in this. So I healed myself of MS, and quite quickly as well. And then I thought, well, I can't just sit on this and have this amazing knowledge of, and I'm a walking freaking advertisement of what you can do. I need to go out and I need to help people. So first off, I just started seeing clients one-to-one, and now I see one-to-many. So I teach what I do so more and more people can heal.
Fantastic.
And that's what I love doing. And I tell you what I love doing the most. I have such a high value in family. I love going into families. I mean, this could be gay, straight, crazy cat women with 20 cats. Everyone's a part of a family. And I love that work, going to families and getting people to connect with themselves and finding their true innate self, which men, mind you, their innate self is to be masculine.
So great segue.
You're welcome. Did you like that one?
I love it. I love it. Because Michael and our passion is dads.
Yeah.
Because we see the just destruction on family, the divorces, statistically, nearly 80% of all documented suicides in Australia are men. 80%.
I'll give you a stat, mate. 65,000 attempt suicide every year, and approximately 75% are males, and mostly between 15 and 44.
Yep. And it doesn't have to
really,
be that
really
way.
sad.
And it's,
yeah, and anyone listening to this or watching this, it doesn't have to be that way at all. And what I want to say is one thing: it is actually really quite easy to heal. People have this thing that it's difficult. It's actually not, because any kind of trauma, whether it be physical, mental, anything, your body and your soul innately wants to heal. It's us who fuck that up.
It's like a natural state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And the other piece that you said around family focus, I'm a massive believer in the community aspect. Once you kind of understand that we're all part of the same whole and you've got that support network around you, it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah, totally.
So let's start off. Lies about, sorry, excuse me. Lies about masculinity, right? Now, this is my opinion, and the way that I works for a certain genre of people who like archetypes, right? A male is a male and a female is a female. Biologically, that's the way it goes. Males can do certain things, females can do certain things. Men can have babies, blah, 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 right? But we must start to embrace the masculine virtues: purpose, power, strength, presence, protection, provide for your family, right? All these, accountability, wisdom, knowledge, all this stuff, they are not toxic. Never have been, never will be, right? What is toxic is boy stuff, right? So boy emotions are toxic. Anger, manipulation, verbal, emotional, physical abuse. They're all boy values and boy archetypes. They have nothing to do with being a man. And if people are a true male and a true man, and they have the virtues of what they see as a man, none of that stuff is toxic. And we've, unfortunately, especially as a lot of the feminist side of things and the Me Too, and look, some of the stuff's happened to Me Too has been horrendous, and it's just not, but they were boy values, they were boy attributes. They had nothing to do with anything to do with male or masculine archetypes, right? So I see a lot of people, a lot of guys who are just flatly confused, right? I've seen a 22-year-old guy last week who's scared to go to a pub. We can't right now, but scared to go to pick up a woman because she may get offended and say that he's been sexually assaulting her, right? Now, when I was going to the pub, God, Jesus Christ, some of the stuff that went on, yeah, it was, but, you know, these days, it's such a, there's nothing that, you know, people are blind, and we're bringing up these boys who are lost.
Yeah, the rules are really unclear.
Yeah, and so what we've been trying to do, Emma, between Michael and myself, is bring back the rise of the king, as I call it, right?
I love that.
Let the king rise again in his kingdom. And it's not ruling like, you know, the wife should be by the side. The male absolutely worships the sacred feminine.
100%. So he should absolutely worship his queen.
Absolutely.
And the queen should completely worship her king.
Yeah.
And it has to be 100%, 100%. None of this 50-50 bullshit. Because I used to believe it was 50-50. When I was giving 50% of myself to my husband, well, how good was the relationship? It's half and half.
Yeah, 50%.
When I started giving 100%, it was great. But I always think of a good analogy, which I always tell, because so many men are confused. And, you know, the woman is stepping up, and in a beautiful way, but they're also stepping up. I might get in trouble here with the ladies. They're very distorted. So it's like a distorted, I've got to do this and this and this. And all these women have turned into these freaking control freaks. Let the fuck go. They're trying to win every fight. And like, if you put the pen here, no, put it here. I'm like, who gives a shit? Us women, if you can't trust your man to fall into your feminine and let your man stand in his masculine, what the hell are you doing with this man? This man, a masculine man, I love this. I kind of made it up. I always think there should be like a brick wall. No matter what you do, I'm just going to stand here. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to go to my little suki la like a 5-year-old. I'm like a brick wall. And when that man is in his centered, beautiful, king, masculine, there's nothing sexier, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like nothing sexier. A feminine energy will automatically test it. We have to.
Have to. Yep.
And I think that's what men or masculine figures don't realize. They will be tested. We have to test because we have to make sure a man will stand there like a brick wall.
Correct.
And it's when our men fall over and they start stepping backwards.
Yeah.
You know the man cave?
Yeah.
I call that the pussy cave. Right? So the man cave goes, I'm going to run away to my man cave. You just ran out of me. No. And this is another reason why women have had to step up in that masculine. It's, for me, there's no equality. It's either or. But the thing is, when women are in power, they shit on the man. When the man's in the power, they shit on the women. We got it all wrong. If I bring my man up, my man is going to bring me up. And
this is great because this is why I want you on too, because you've got two boys or two young men at beautiful very age,
masculine young men.
What powerful thing is to have, you know, nearly 20-year-old men who provide, protect, present, preside, power, you know, empathy, and you know, you can still be, you know, emotionally available and vulnerable and all that stuff, but tell you what, you know, and that's what I was saying is that men aren't taught stuff these days. There's no rite of passage. There's no, hey, this is what it is. This is no leadership from men to say, this is what it is. I hear that, like I see, because I see, you know, for the psychic side of things, is the horror stories of, you know, Tinder and stuff like that, where, you know, a guy sending a dick to a chick, right? And she's going, oh, men are all, you know, toxic. And it's like, that is zero. That man is a boy.
100%.
He's not a man. He's a boy. And if you're a dude listening to this and you're seeing dick pics to a woman, you're a fucking idiot.
Exactly right.
Right?
I'm also going to say something quite controversial here too.
Yeah.
You get what you attract what you are.
Correct.
Yeah. I have to say this, in God's honest truth, I have never been sent a dick pic. Because as a queen, as a woman sitting in her centered, feminine, in her power, I would never attract that kind of man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Spot on.
You know, so
and you're not a victim either. That's the thing. Is
no way.
Yeah. So, you know, we've got all these, and we're letting these men get away with all these behaviors, but there's nothing to do with masculinity. It has zero to do with it.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. Yeah.
Sorry, Michael, you should.
No, I love it. It's such a good conversation. As you know, I've been a sports coach of young boys and young men for 20 years, basketball and football, and I've seen all sorts of environments. And then there's the coaching. And the thing that stands out for me is we really lack exactly something you and I have discussed, that hero's journey of discovery. So where's the rites of passage? You know, once upon a time you would come through as a young man and you follow in the footsteps of your father. But look at what our fathers went through and what their fathers went through and what's been passed on. And now we find ourselves in this really difficult dilemma where we're trying to empower women and give them space to flourish and grow and be equals. But at the same time, where we've taken away our own journey of what does it mean to be strong, but to be vulnerable, to be that, you know, that pillar, that rock that others can depend on in times of uncertainty and a little bit of, I think there's just that gap in what it means to actually represent yourself as a man without having to worry about being shot down or brought down in society now. The rules are very grey. I know I've been through it myself, and you know, you've got your devotion to work and your sports achievements and providing for your family, but there's so much more to it. So, you know, what's the role that we play as men in society now and how we represent ourselves for our boys to grow up? I know for myself, trying to provide a space for my boys to feel safe, to be themselves without judgment or concern that their actions or behaviours can be judged in any particular way, so they can express themselves fully. These are the things that I feel like are missing. And I think Emma's comments earlier about self-healing are absolutely beautiful, because if you can imprint that from a young age, then I think we get to a place where we're just a little bit more compassionate towards each other, and that men can still play these strong roles and women can still play these strong roles. And together, it's that, you know, basic saying that the sum of the parts or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. That's where we want to get to. Where I get stuck on this is, what are the steps of change that we need to map out for our young people now? I mean, I see other kids that I mentor through groups from really broken backgrounds, kids that have been abandoned and things like that. And there's just this hopelessness, but they need people like us and conversations like these so that they have something to step into, to know that society's got their back, that the men that are out there are fighting the right fight, because we need to put a stamp on some of the shit that gets put out there around the homophobic comments, the misogynistic stuff, the boyish aggression. And sure, as a teenager and a young man, you're going to go through that stuff. That's all part of the journey. But there's got to be those strong men there to pull you up when you've gone too far. And it's got to be not the police or not the authorities. It's got to be the community that wraps their arms around you and says, all right, I hope you've learned the right lessons. Here's a different way to think about how you can be your best self moving forward. That's that's what I wanted to take away from this. It's that stepping stone from boy to man, and even some of the men that have got it wrong because they've fallen down that path of stress and abuse and depression and substance abuse, that there's a group of people there and a community there that can pull them back out as well. And because they're the people, when they've come out the other side, are going to have the powerful stories to tell that are going to lift others up. Sorry, it got me going.
I'm going to say something. This is where I really believe. I have tried now for 3 years to get to schools, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to borrow me.
The school system sucks.
It's shit. It is absolute crap. But these young men and these women, they both, not just boys, it's not just girls, they both need to know that when they are centered and when they are present, and they come from a heart space instead of a fear space, they're going to get more out of life. But they're only doing what they've seen from others. And what's great is if you've learned it, you can unlearn it, right? You can learn a different way.
Yeah.
So where do they go? Because not everyone can afford Emma Romano, right? Not everyone can afford. Where do they go?
Yeah, and the thing is that, and Michael, you and I, I'm 45, you're 44, 45, something like that.
Yeah.
And, when we were growing up, the whole success thing, right? And that's probably a big driver for what some of the issues are, because we were taught that success is materialistic. Success.
That's the measure of your worth.
Yeah, and exactly. And there's your downfall straight away, because men will go through their life, smash their careers, sacrifice their family life, their health and everything like to get to 45, and they look around and it's just not fulfilling.
No, not at all.
So the whole thing about, and they got the big car, the big house, the kids are in private school, but they've got a drinking issue. They're banging their secretary and they're doing
anxiety, depression, boiling point. They're my clients.
Yeah, and that's why we got. That's the thing is, and that's common. And that's why we got the statistics around men just take their lives because they don't feel like they can go anywhere because it's shown a sign of weakness. We were told to repress emotions when I was growing up. Don't show weakness. Stop crying. Shut that up, right? And there's repressed emotions, Emma. Yep.
Well, there's one thing, when you've got a sensitive, very centered masculine, but sensitive 17-year-old who's very happy about showing his emotions and very secure in that, and especially if he's in an environment at school where they can't handle it. When they come home, they go, what do I do? Find your tribe.
Yeah. Right.
Tribe's not at school. Trust me. Right? Find your tribe.
Right.
That's your responsibility to go. It's not my responsibility as your mother to find your tribe. Your responsibility is to try different groups, go on Facebook, do this, do that, find your tribe.
You're great at segues. You were so good at segues because I don't want to list here.
You are so freaking
We have this strange psychic, we have this great psychic link, right? So brotherhoods and tribes are highly vital. And I've said to a number of people, and especially when I do my thing, I'll do this similar. I get the guy, then you do the family stuff, because it's you can't just do the guy, you got to do the whole family, right?
The environment.
And I'll say to the female every single time, if you want your marriage to fail, take away his tribe, take away his boys' weekends, and take away his brotherhood, because you're going to work after that, because men need the tribe.
Completely emasculate the man and make him into your girlfriend.
Correct.
And then wonder why he won't want to fuck you at the end of the day. Simple as that. You've just turned your man into your girlfriend. Go get your nails done with your girlfriends, not your partner. Let your man go and build shit and do stuff and get dirty. You go with your girlfriends and do that. Don't sit there and gossip and have cups of tea and a wine with your man. Let him do man. I'm so passionate about this. Because women have emasculate, they want their man to be, you need to be my everything. What? How can one person be everything? Get your girlfriends to be that. Get your man to be your man. That's what.
Man, that's
this is
right.
really going to be freaking controversial. Am I going to get hate?
Well, and that's it. Michael and I know our stuff doesn't work for certain groups of people. If you're a family where the females, the masculine, and the males, the feminine, and they're happy with that, that's fine. But our stuff doesn't work. Doesn't work for us. As long as you're okay that, as long as you take that male role and he plays the female and
but
whatever.
You can't both be in the masculine. You can't both be in the feminine, and that's what's happening in the families.
Yes.
And I give a great example of this, right? So say I always think of this is when you're in your masculine, the two dicks fighting.
You got props.
Yeah, always. And you've got your two dicks fighting, they're your swords, and you fight because you're both in your masculine, and you're both in your feminine. I'm not joking. It's like two holes, right? And they run away. So, when you have that fight and you go, and the woman goes, "You don't understand, I'm going to my bedroom." And the masculine energy lets them. That's not being masculine. Go chase your woman.
And this is the whole confusion about the stuff. This is the whole thing. And it's like, and this is the confusion with, and they've just labeled things so much about, that's toxic male. Real pure masculine energy is just complete love, complete protection, provide just support, and it's not taking nothing away from it. As I said before, we absolutely devote ourselves to the sacred feminine. So
yeah, you bloody better.
But the more and more we get back to these archetypes of what male and female roles are, and you'll go and understand today, like there's things like there's transgender and there's whatever, and there's neither gender or anything like that. Look, I don't care whatever.
There's shades. Yeah,
it's just this works for pretty much people who want to play certain roles, right? If you want to play the male and the female, hey, this stuff works 100% of the times. Know what role you're playing in life, and be proud to step into it. And this is what a lot of young kids that I find today are afraid to step into this because they get whacked especially from the far left feminist side, that don't step into this masculine energy because it's toxic.
Which is shitty role models.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And it's fear.
Yeah.
It's all coming from fear. It's all coming from past wounding, past hurt, and fear.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. Shit gives you MS. I promise you.
Yeah. And they'll play the things like, or if we get back into the masculinity, what happened in the 1950s where the male, that was not masculine energy either, right?
That wasn't masculine energy.
Right. If you understood what it really was.
Masculine energy or shadow masculine energy.
No, that was just crap. So, and so we have a lot of success with just people then realizing and then stepping up and being that person. And like you're saying before, once a young man and this is what, Michael's and both you and Emma are going to find, because you got teenagers exactly the same ages, right? Having your boys play those roles, you'll have every single mother who has a daughter trying to get them to date your boys. Happens
all the time.
Yeah.
I've got this big stick at my front door and I'm beating them up.
Yeah. Because they're safe. You know what? They are safe with your boys.
Yeah.
Because you know what? When the stuff happens, that's the thing. It's safety, protection. It's that they are looking after and they are providing. And it's all about, complete,
the right intention.
Yeah.
Care and compassion and protection. Yeah.
And it's all the intention of, but you know what? Our boys they don't know it. They have to be taught it. And they have to be taught, like I'll give you a perfect example. Jack has got this beautiful girlfriend. He's 18 and this is his first serious girlfriend.
I see it.
And she stayed over. She stayed over 2 weekends ago, and I said to him, he went to her house to stay the night, and I said, you take something for the mother, you take chocolates for the mother, ask, your girlfriend, what does she like? You do the dishes. And I said, do the dishes, don't do the drying, otherwise you have to ask all the time where you have to put stuff. I said, just make sure. You know, I said, do the dish. You know how to do dishes.
Mm.
You know, you do the things. And he's like, yeah, thanks. These are all these little things that he's going into this person's house and now knows he can feel secure as the man in that relationship, as the masculine. We have to teach them as well. They have to be taught.
So let's just say let's say a family called the Simpsons come into your life, Emma, and you see them and they're about to,
I don't know if that's a good example.
I think so either.
That's going to test your skills.
And we do an example like the wife's about to kick him out because he's his whole life he's just depressed. He's falling apart. He's got an addiction. He's
lost.
No connection. He's lost.
Yeah.
What's from your perspective is the first things that you can do to help, reignite the king within the warrior inside that man?
The first thing I would do is release all his negative emotions that he's holding in, and it would be held in from literally birth or beforehand. So that's your anger, your sadness, your fear, your hurt, your shame, your guilt, all that sort of disappointment, that suppression, repression, oppression, all that. Remove all that, but in a really lovely way in the unconscious mind. So I don't believe at all you have to go back to an event to see Grandpa Joe do whatever he did to you. It's bullshit. You just need to release it in the unconscious mind. And then I literally train them. I train them. So what I love doing, I love going into people's homes because I can see exactly what's going on. I have this theory, ADHD, kids who've got tics, all that sort of stuff on the spectrum of autism. In my own research, 97% of them have come from a very controlling mother. And the parents will fight. So what the child will do, especially boys, not so much girls, but boys because they innately want to protect. So what they'll do is they will unconsciously develop an issue. It could be a tic, it could be repetitive behavior, it could be anger, because what they're doing in their own secret little unconscious way is they're creating an issue. So two parents, you got mum and dad fighting, Bobby comes along and says, stop fighting, look at me. What's their one common thing they love? Bobby. They stop fighting, they come together and they shut up and they look at Bobby. But it's about the controlling mother. And and the first thing I say, so many people want me to fix their kids. There's nothing wrong with your freaking kids, by the way. It's all you. So I very sneakily say to the parents, I'm like, let me see you first. Let's get rid of all your crappy emotions that you've brought in with a little suitcase, even into this relationship before you were stuffed before you started. Let's get rid of that. Let's strip it all away and let's see who you really are. Because you can't find your true self when you're soaking in pity or shame or fear. You can't find yourself. You've got to release it.
You said this really, really good comment, which I love, with Jason Lynette the other day. And you said you can't solve the current situation from the problem or something.
No, there's no solution in the problem.
Yeah.
There's none. We already know the problem. The problem's there. But if you keep looking at the problem, you're going to get more problem because that's your focus. And it's amazing. I've got this great process, right, that I take every couple through. And it's like, so say if you look at my picture here and I say, just look at all the blue, look at all the blue, look at the blue. And then I cover your eyes and
go, it's a beautiful picture, by the way.
Thanks. And then I go, how much pink and green did you say? And they go, well, none. I wasn't looking for that. Well, what are you looking for in your man? What are you looking at in your woman? If you're just looking at the blue, you're missing out on all the pretty pinks, the reds, the greens. What else are you missing out on? So I do this really great process and it gives them the opportunity to release all this pent up emotion. And then they have to burn, yell, do lots of things. And then they do a thank you letter. And it's amazing how when they do a thank you letter to each other and they go, wow, hang on. All I've been focusing is on how much he's annoying me, where really he's a great guy, but I haven't let him. I haven't let him be that man. And when the male looks and goes, do you actually want me to be that male? Because that's the role you've been playing. And they go, and the woman will go, yes. And that's when I do the most training. I go, it is safe to let him come up. But it's practice as well.
Yeah, and that's vital. Is that, you know, when and that's the thing, is that the confusion I see with people is, and the first thing I'll say to the guys, tell me what the male archetypes are, or what is it. So there's a couple of things I try people. What do you think it is to be a man today? What have you been told it is to be a man today? How have you been brought up to be a man is today, right? And then what's
the gaps, I bet.
What's the reality of being a man? And they're way apart. And once they realize that, oh, well, here's all the stuff I've been told, but this is what really is to be a man. And I've done a little bit of a sly thing. I did it with females as well too. So I got them to write out what their opinion of to be a man is. And the list is like miles long. Strong but vulnerable, but emotionally available, but doesn't break down. And there's all these conflicting things in there that, you know, even the females are not aware of what it is to be a male, right? So they're giving all these conflicting things as well too. And this is why I say to people, women don't want to date nice guys. They always go for the bad boy because they are the alpha male. That's what they're looking for, is their biology is looking for the leader of the pack, right? And you can have as many nice, and that's why he's like my brother and stuff like that, because he's not in his masculine, right? You know, and that's because he hasn't been taught, okay, yes, the alpha male who's at the gym and he's got a six pack, who's, you know, this aggressive kind of guy, he's not the right guy for you. We all know that, everyone knows that, but she still goes there because that's the biology within her to seek out the alpha male for, you know, again, reproductive purposes to, you know, we've still got, you know, reptilian brains in here. So it's trying to teach the female as well to what it is to be a male in today's world. And then, oh, right, this is what it means to, you know, to allow them to do this. And Emma would do that. Education's a big part of it.
Yeah, massive.
And the other piece I'm curious about, Emma, is when you're talking to these people, I mean, a lot of them, I guess, are coming from a position of quite a low self-awareness. How do you turn that around? How do you bring them to a place where they can recognize their own behaviors, and when they're, what can I say, leaning into being a male and then dipping out?
I call them on their bullshit, Michael. I'm not gentle in my approach. I do things very differently. I'll give a clear example. I went and saw a family, beautiful family, and he comes home, he's working all day, they've got their own business. They're a blended family of 8 children now.
Wow.
I asked her, I said, are you drinking, dolls? If not, you right? You probably should. From 15 months to 15 years old.
Oh, man,
anyway,
that's huge.
Yeah, and so what he does, he comes home and he sits on the couch and he plays the computer. And he thinks it is right. And I said to him, so she's got 9 kids then? And he said, what do you mean? I said, you've been at work all day, you've come home, you come in, she's cooking dinner, they've got a 15-month-old, all the kids are going, when's dinner, when's dinner, when's it? And you're sitting there.
And he's checking out.
I said, you pussied out on her. I went, you're a freaking pussy.
Yep.
And he said, but I'm exhausted. I said, I tell you what,
do
yourself the biggest favor. Before you walk in the door, have a 20-minute nap in the car.
Yeah, deal with your shit first.
Yep, walk in that door and say, hey, my love, I've got this. You grab the kids, you sort the kids out. She's making dinner. If she doesn't want to make dinner, you make dinner. But don't pussy out on her. And then wonder why she's a control freak.
Yep. step the hell up. And that's the thing.
Step up,
So,
man.
yeah.
Don't be a father. How did that work out for you?
Yeah.
And that's another thing I say. Do you want, and they'll say to me, oh, but my parents have been together 45 years. When was the last time they had sex, do you reckon? And he goes, oh, God, not years. Why would you want a relationship like that? Because you know what? I've been with Anthony for 17 years and we can look at each other and go, let's go. That's what you want. You need that passion, that animal, you know, attraction. You want it. You need it. It's innate in us. I don't want to be having sex with my brother. You know, or it's on Saturday night, we better do it, or it's my birthday, we better do it. Not that.
Yeah. No, it's that love and passion that you had when you first met.
Yeah, you teach it. So I do very experiential work. So I'll stand the man up and I'll say to her, give it to him. Give it, wants everything. I don't care if he's chewing with his mouth open. Give it to him. And I say to him, you are going to stand there like a man. You're going to look her in the eye. You're going to hold space. And you're not going to say a thing. And then when she's about finished, you're going to say, and what else? And what else? And she's going to give it to you. I say, and you're going to take it like a man.
Because that's what men do.
That's what men do.
They step up. They step right up.
Yes. And then they say, baby, what else? What else? Tell me. And if you're bawling your eyes out and you collect yourself, he's going to say, hun, is there any more tears there? I've got you. I'm not letting you go. I've got you. And it doesn't matter if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter if you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and it's got to get 2 hours sleep. That's your woman.
Yeah. Get rid of the bullshit rules.
100%. But the woman, as a feminine, in a centered feminine, I have to trust that my man will have my back too. I can't half-ass it. I can't play both the roles.
So do you think that's been part of the issue, that there's been a lot of men that haven't had their back, and as a result they've gone out pretty hard and created these, I won't say it's a myth, because there are people out there that probably on that side of the spectrum, but you know, we're trying to rebalance the ledger here, I guess, and there's definitely been blokes that have done the wrong thing, because they are still playing in that boy space. So how do we then educate the and then that obviously they come across a bad person, maybe we get them heading back in the right direction and get their headspace back into, all right, well, clearly they're not playing in the right area if they're ending up with these types of blokes, so that we bring them back to being their queen and back into the feminine, rather than maybe feeling like the scorned partner, or you know, that they're a failure in some way.
The first thing I do again is I get rid of all negative emotions, and then I look in the belief systems, because it's research, it's scientifically proven that the unconscious mind, whatever belief systems we have, we will play them out. But we won't only play them out, we will set it up. So say as a woman, and I have a belief system that all men cheat, I could be with the most amazing man, but I will set it up.
You'll drive him to cheat. Yeah.
I will set it up. You could have a woman who'll sit there and say, you know, I'll never meet Mr. Right, because men always think I'm a little bit crazy, and I hate that. You could be 6 months in this beautiful relationship. You're meeting at 7 p.m. It's one of the analogies that I use all the time. You're meeting at 7 p.m. and your man turns up, it's 7:02, and you're going, you're late. He's gone, oh, a lady with a 2-year-old just dropped her shopping, so I just made sure that I just picked the shopping up, but they're all right now. Well, what do you mean? Is this child and this woman more important than me? And he might go, are you nuts? I'm 2 minutes. See, you think I'm freaking crazy. You'll set it up.
Yep.
So if you take out the belief system, the negative belief system, the belief system that you're running on, that's your freaking fathers and your mothers and your uncles and your great, you know, all of that. Get rid of that. And put in new belief system, you'll play it out. It's education. It is actually a lot easier to be in your centered masculine and a lot easier to be in your centered feminine than it is to be the little boy or the little girl or, you know, the tyrant. I used to be a tyrant. I used to be a bitch. I was very in my masculine, and my husband, Anthony, he was very much in his, I used to call him like the little sook. He was a sook. And I mothered him. And it wasn't until I had MS when I did all this work and I said, we have to look at our relationship. I said, because I'm exhausted and I don't want you anymore. Because I said to myself, I would rather be alone than be in a marriage lonely. And I was starting to get very lonely in the marriage. I'd rather be on my own. I'd rather, I don't know, just have dogs and cats and kids, you know? And that's when he was like, shit, we need to do something about that. And we actually went to a relationship, huge full-on relationship weekend, 4 days, where they ripped into us and said to me, because I went there to go fix Anthony.
I love that.
Oops.
Yep.
I went to fix Anthony. Anthony needs to step up. He needs to be a man. And he was beside me. And as I'm picking on him and dobbing him in, I'm rubbing his back.
Oh.
And this chick, one of the facilitators was back and just going, hang on. You're dobbing him in and rubbing his back at the same time. They go, you're mothering. And I'm like, don't be stupid. I don't mother him. I was mothering him. I was that control. I was controlling the kids. I mean, oh, poor bastards. Anyway, it's all good now though. So like, that's what I mean. I wasn't like this my whole life. Most of it I've been distorted. Most of it, Anthony has been in his shadow. Like he's been the little freaking sook and I've been the tyrant mother. You know, it's not always been like this, but it's actually so much easier to be in the centered.
Yeah, and isn't it a beautiful journey we go on that you get that opportunity to grow and discover that and tell it so honestly. Thank you. Yeah.
My pleasure.
So, another good segue into the next part, because I think we've probably covered. We'll get you on another time, and because I think there's a deep thing here we can talk about with men and the steps they can take, and again, it's not about therapy. It's about becoming the king. And when you switch it to that point, and it's to light that fire of that warrior inside of you to become this person. It's not to create weakness. And this is and you know and I know this is you're unhypnotizing people from their current life, right?
That's my catchphrase.
Yeah.
Ask me to unhypnotize you.
Yeah. You're taking the lens off and going, hey, you know, here's the view of what it is to be a man today. And I can tell you now, you know, through, you know, thousands of sessions I've done, you know, this works when the man steps up into his archetype masculine energy, and
100%.
Zero of it is toxic.
And you know what? I want to just let people know the male has to step up in his beautiful king before the woman can actually step down.
Correct.
Because if you're both in your feminine or you're both in your like, if he's in his little boy and then she's like in a like, no one's going to survive. No one's going to go out and find the saber-toothed tiger. No one's going to cook the meal like to get me. You both run away.
Yeah.
So for her to be in her feminine, she has to feel safe enough that he's in his masculine, and that's again when, as a feminine, we'll test, and we're actually completely unaware that we're doing it. We don't know we do it. We don't sit there and go, oh, I'm going to test the fucker today. Like, we just do it, you know, because we have to make sure that our masculine partner has got shit done so I can look after the kids.
Yep.
Because if no one's going out and finding the lion to eat that night or protecting us. I've got to do it. Which means who's going to look after the kids? Does it make sense? So men have to stand up and they have to be in their king, but it's therapy. It is therapy. It's education. And I just hope of the people listening to this right now, I hope it gives them some hope to know that innately, without all the bullshit that you think that you're carrying right now, you are innately amazing. And that is what I loved. I want you to see yourself without all the distraction, without all the bullshit, without the shame, the hurt, the confusion. Because when you release that, it's actually quite easy to do life.
It is.
Yeah. So, Michael, you got any questions before we move on to Emma's protocols?
Look, we've covered most of it. I really think we need to do a session where we dive into the traits of what it means to really step up and be in your masculine and feminine, for that matter, and how we create a space where, when both are thriving, what are the results of that? What are the positive aspects that come out, not just for those people, but all the people around them? And particularly in the cases where you're talking about, a marriage, a man and a woman that live together, the flow and effects to the kids. I mean, you're at a stage now where you've got young kids, they're in that really impressionable age, and they pick up on everything. That they're little mirrors of everything that you guys do. And it was the same for me when I was younger. I was probably fortunate. I had a few good mentors around me. Certainly made plenty of mistakes along the way, but my kids have, touch wood, turned out to be pretty good people to be around. And I think they'll step into those archetypes quite well. And maybe that's some of my subconscious programming on their behalf, dropping along the way. But yeah, and if we did a session diving into that, I suppose one of the topics that we haven't really covered is society's expectations in general, and because there's so many angles to this. You've got within the relationship, external to the relationship, then you've got these community and cultural elements to masculinity and femininity, and in different parts of the world they have slightly different meanings, but where we are in Western culture, probably becoming more Eastern influenced. I suppose I'm curious, Emma, how you see that playing out, and what can we do as teachers, mentors, coaches to make sure that we're helping people set fair and reasonable expectations on themselves, but what can we do to air more broadly so that when they do encounter challenges with, the crap we hear in the media or the shitty agendas that are out there, and we know that they're out there, to build resilience, to build a community where people feel comfortable coming to be their true self, to test these ideas out so that they ultimately become, more powerful versions of themselves.
I always tell my clients, my boys, everyone that I come across with, I tell them to ask themselves a question before they're about to act on something. Is it life-giving or is it life-taking? And that really simple question will give you your answer. Because innately, everybody is the same. We've got flesh, blood, skin, whatever. And we all want to be great. But it is how you perceive your greatness to be. So if you think cheating on your woman or bashing someone, is it life-taking or is it life-giving? It's a very simple question. And that's what I tell my clients to do, especially my men. Ask them that. Ask yourself that.
Yeah, I love it, because then rather than looking at fixing the problem, you've got a preventative measure in the hand. And
everything comes from within. There is no magic freaking process. There's no magic bloody pill. There's no magic one. I wish there was. Everything is from within. You just got to pick off the freaking layers and let them find it. And when they can figure that out, just by asking a great question, they're going to answer it. Hang on, that's life-taking. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I guess the other piece of advice I'd probably give is try to switch off a lot of those external messages.
Exactly. It's judgment. And I say this, I love this. I'm going to tell you something, right? I love a dragon. You know, a dragon, they have the freaking fire coming out the mouth, right? They're really cool. Oh, what up, Michael? Right? So I always imagine this. If you have a negative thought or a belief system you're not sure, grab the thought, throw it in the dragon's mouth. Fire transmutes. Dragons are all about protection and love. It transmutes in the stomach, and then it either shits out a rainbow or farts out glitter. See? So the problem's gone. It's easy.
The fiery dragon, so much the good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, so just before we finish, just something very important that for people who are listening to this, I want you to share, because you do offer 2 or 3 different protocols you're doing. One's called the Family Freedom Protocol. One's called is Timeline Reset. And then the other one's called
Delete Reset.
Oh, there you go. All right. So what are they?
Okay.
Are they all 3 individual ones, or does Family Freedom incorporate the other 2 or whatever? So people want to actually train under you and all that stuff?
So if you want to train under me, Family Freedom Protocol, Timeline Reset is in there as well. So there's timeline therapy. So timeline therapy is when you go up in your timeline, you go back to an event before an event, look at an event, try and get rid of it. I hate it because I hate looking at events. And I was seeing a lot of clients with PTSD and they were getting stuck in like an event that it was horrible. So I created my own process where you can get rid of the anger, shame, guilt, fear, hurt, all that sort of stuff and limiting beliefs without having to go to an event. I mean, what woman or man wants to go back to a rape scene? Shit, I don't, you know?
No.
You don't need to. And events happen. You cannot delete an event, but you can learn by it so that it never happens again, right? And then you can teach other people not to do it as well. So we go in, do that. That's Timeline Reset on its own. You can buy that online and learn it. Family Freedom Protocol starting in July. It's an 8-session process that I teach. It is so profound. It's using the conscious, the unconscious energy, cellular level, soul level. I do a lot of woo-woo stuff in there, NLP, hypnosis, timeline resets in there. Delete Reset is completely on its own. Delete Reset is about getting rid of limiting beliefs and negative, addictions and habits. That's getting rid of that. So your addiction or your habit can actually you may have an addiction to drama.
Or addiction to guilt.
Or misery, or sadness.
Or victimization.
100%. Yeah. That can be your addiction.
Yep.
And what I love in my work is I actually don't need to know your problem. So I don't ask about the story. So I created this thing, it's called the funnel. And so when people go, I've got depression, people will look at the depression. Depression is a symptom of the core issue. But to find out that core issue is actually a lot easier than what people think. We funnel it down. It takes you about 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes to find a real core issue. And that's what we deal with. Because if you don't deal with that, you get rid of the symptom, you'll just get another symptom.
Yeah, correct.
And that symptom can be worse than the other one.
Yeah, you'll just keep going back to that familiar space.
Yeah, it's like me. One of my symptoms was multiple sclerosis. I got rid of that. I ended up an alcoholic. That's what I ended up. I ended up an alcoholic. So now I had to look right at the deep issue, which was, do you want to hear my big problem? Do you want to hear it?
I'd love to. Yep.
Bring it. Yeah, we love it.
I thought it was, I really thought it was around self-worth and I'm not enough. I did so much work on it, but I just couldn't give up wine. What it was really was, I didn't deserve real love, because my husband gives me real fucking love, like so unconditional. I didn't feel I deserved it. I've never seen it before, never had it. How's that?
Wow.
Now that shit's a problem.
And this is where, when you say before, you can shift a emotion and belief in an instant, like that. And
because your unconscious mind has to know it's safe to let it go. Yes. That's why I'm holding it, because you'll have that emotion from childhood where you can't change your environment. So it helps you to play small. It helps you to read situations around mum and dad and, should I say this? Should I not say that? So it helps you. It's a survival instinct.
So delete, reset. How do people learn that?
I just taught it on Friday, actually. So my next
is it a 1 day? Is it 2 day, 3 day?
Yeah, it's a 1 day up. So you actually get timeline reset with that to learn online first. And then I teach you online over Zoom for a day, delete, reset. That's starting in August. But just probably the best way is to email me. I'm emma@emaromano.com.au. Easy. And I'd love a chat. Did you figure that? I love a chat.
And the thing is that I know that this is not just me saying stuff because I know Emma, right? We only known each other for 12 months, right? We met through a stage hypnosis show, right? So,
and
it's just, stranger things have happened, and the universe has gone bang. You two need to work together.
On that, Greg, would I be right in saying that you two lovely people have got another past life regression course coming up?
We've got booked out.
Yeah, you'll have to do another one, because I can vouch for it. I had an incredible experience with you both, exploring something pretty unique for me. And definitely, if people are interested, reach out and get involved.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that the reason why is I know Emma gets results. And this is the thing. I know a lot of therapists, and I see a lot of clients from other therapists, but I know Emma gets results.
Thanks.
That's the best thing.
I'm not your yes person.
No. And look, I mean, there's like I said all the time, like I've, another story where a client where another mixed family where mother and son and stepfather, and the stepfather was being blamed for everything was going on, but the reality was the biological father was a dickhead, and they were, instead of addressing the biological father, they're blaming the stepdad for all the shit. And it's like, until you actually step up and stop, it's just, and these are the things, is like Emma's stuff works.
Yeah.
And it's confronting, but it works.
Yeah, it's why I'm going all over the world with it. Because to step into a family and be able to teach the father to be a father, to be a man, and the woman, be proud to be a freaking feminine woman. Be proud of that, because it's so much stronger to be a queen than it is trying to be a bloke.
Yep.
You look so much more empowered and beautiful to be in your feminine. I mean, it's such a gift. Yep. And it kind of upsets me that so many people think it's not a gift, that it's not good enough. That upsets me. Anyway, but it's beautiful. And I need more practitioners. I can't keep up with the work.
Well, I'm for one. I'm going to go and come and do your July course. We're going to go do family freedom. I'm down for this.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I always like learning new stuff, right? And as a practitioner, and as you know, the day that you stop learning, the day you think you know enough.
Yes, I'm always
it's the day you fail, right? Yeah. So McNair, I reckon you should join me.
Yeah, McNair.
I think that would be good. Yeah, well, we're in a different stage now because the kids are kind of flying the coop. So, maybe there's definitely some value.
It's amazing. You'll get so much self-growth out of it too, because no matter what I do, I never do practitioner training without getting results from my practitioners, because I have a very strong belief that if I'm expecting something from my client, I had to have gone through it myself.
Yeah. And just look what Connie's doing. Like, she's doing some amazing work.
I know. She's so good. I know.
Right. So, and that's what I said. You know, this is not someone I'll go off the street and say, come and talk about toxic masculinity, right? This is someone who is getting results on a global scale with families. And one thing, it's repairing families. So if you get a letter from a 9-year-old child that says, thank you, you've just, you know, my dad doesn't come home and yell and scream anymore, and my life is so much better. You've not only saved that family, you've saved that 9-year-old girl becoming a 21-year-old drug abuser.
Yeah, and this is what I love saying. It's like, I can see a family, and sometimes you'll only get one person out of that family. And I want to say this to people listening who go, there's no way my husband or my partner or my family do this. It takes one person as well. Because if you go to a body of water, like a lake or a pond, and you throw a pebble in, even if you walk away, what's still happening there? Ripples effects.
What's our logo, Michael?
That's it.
You guys can steal that. It's all right.
Well, that's our logo. That's for the podcast. It's actually on the podcast cover.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the ripple.
Oh, cool.
Waves in the pond.
Waves in the pond. That's...
So you can't not have change.
Mm.
You can't not have change because you've got to be the leader.
Yeah.
He's ready to step up and be that leader, though.
Be the tipping point.
Well, Emma, it's been fantastic.
Guys.
You're wonderful.
Really
Just send all your hate mail via, you know, greg@gregroll.com.au. So, but that was
love letters.
That was an awesome chat. Look, I love your work. I mean, look, you're sincere, you're honest, you're truthful, but you got a passion for this, and that's what I love. You got a real passion for fixing people. It's not about you being the best and look at me and look at me. Hey, I'm this and that. This is, you are in the trenches with these people, and you're actually helping
positive
them out.
Change.
And that's what we love to see. We need to see
Thank
people.
you for recognising that. Really,
no, we need, you know,
so lovely. Thank you.
If the world was made up of Emma Romano's, well, actually, that'd be
God help you.
Imagine little pink flamingos around, right?
I need more practitioners, not like Emma Romano. Okay.
But look, you're doing some great work. So if anyone out there's listening and wants just to, you know, step into their power,
it's
look,
what
it's
Let's
great.
Thriving. Fuck surviving. Let's thrive.
So,
straight.
So remember, guys, again, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be down there in the little thing, subscribe button. But
get in touch. Plenty more good stuff to come.
If you want some topics for us to cover, anything really about, you know, expanding human potential, we will actually cover it in some kind of way. But thanks again, Michael, and big thanks to you, Emma.
Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute privilege and an honour. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Until next time.